HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambi. With Bambi, get access to your own dedicated US-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambi's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambi starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambi can take off your plate. Go to Bambi.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambi.com. Type in Accelerate.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. Diane is a leading small business development and leadership coach, author, and speaker who is passionate about sharing valuable ideas, tips, and techniques with business professionals worldwide. Diane brings you the world's experts and gurus in all things business. Whether it's sales, structure, social media, planning, or plateauing, guests bring their expertise and energy to each episode. When growing your business is your focus, Accelerate Your Business Growth is the show to listen to. Got a topic or guest suggestion? Let Diane know. The goal is to make sure you have the information you need to move your business forward. Thanks for joining us. Settle in and enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today's podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast continues to gain recognition as a great resource for small business, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals. From MSNBC's Your Business to Inc.com, Fit Small Business, People First, a whole host of other sites, this podcast is enjoying inclusion on lists of the best podcasts to listen to. This is mainly due to the wonderful guests who I have had the pleasure of speaking with over the years. These are folks who have expertise in certain areas of business, and they give of their time and their knowledge to join me for a conversation so that all of you can learn and discover the things that you need and want so that you can be more successful. Today is no different. My guest today is Jonny Cooper. British entrepreneur, piano player, international racing driver, and business coach, Jonny Cooper is the founder of JonnyHatesMarketing.com, helping transformation professionals find more of their ideal clients more easily. Since growing a business to 8 figures and exiting, Jonny's been supporting coaches, trainers, therapists, and consultants who are serious about growing their practice and enjoying a life of effortless abundance. He's also the voice behind the legendary Jonny Hates Marketing Facebook group and swears that he really, really does hate marketing, that is. Jonny, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for that swell intro. Let's just hope I can live up to it with the rest of the broadcast.
I know that you can. I am sure that you can. So I love this whole, I was telling you this before we started to air, that I love this Jonny Hates Marketing, partly because I think a lot of people hate marketing. I think unless you're like a marketing professional, a lot of small business owners hate it because they either don't get it or it's changed so much that they feel like now there's a whole lot of other things they need to know. It's gotten sort of to be not so much fun.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? As you said, unless you earn your living from marketing, marketing is no more than a means to an end, and a very complex and stressful and overwhelming means at that it can be, can't it?
Yeah, exactly. So what's the one fatal mistake that you see most business owners make when they're starting out?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty simple, because I do a big part of my coaching and teaching is around this. The biggest mistake they make is simply that they start marketing too soon before they have anything to market. And I describe my three pillars of before marketing, or my three pillars of effortless marketing, I sometimes call it. And the three pillars are things you have to have in place as a foundational part of your business in order to actually have something to market. So you're not completely wasting your time marketing and wasting your money. So the three pillars respectively are understanding what it is that you do. So the what, and by that I mean, what is your superpower? What do you bring to the world? What huge problem do you solve or desire do you satisfy? Many people are not clear on that. I'll give you an example. If you meet someone at a networking event and you say, then what do you do? And they say, I'm a coach, or I'm a business coach, or I'm a life coach. That ultimately tells you next to nothing about what they do. And it's very, very and very unappealing. I actually did that years ago. I was that guy. Someone said to me, Johnny, what do you do? And I said, I'm a business coach. And the guy said, that sounds boring. And I was amazed. I was flabbergasted, as we say in the UK. My gast was flabbered. And and I just went away from that meeting thinking, well, he's a bit rude, this guy. He's a bit forthright, but if he thinks like that, maybe lots of other people are thinking that as well without saying it, So I started thinking about, what it was that I truly did, and, what I enjoyed doing, and what my superpower was, and indeed who it was for. And in fact, that brings us to the second pillar, which is your who. And, if you say to somebody, who do you work with? And they start their answer to that question with, oh, well, anybody who ... You know that they haven't thought about that. They haven't defined their ideal client. We call it the client avatar, in the work that I do. So that what and the who together are absolutely fundamental. And, I've been refining that now over the last 5 years. And currently, if somebody says to me, what do you do? I'll say, well, I help transformation professionals. I help coaches, trainers, therapists, and consultants who are serious about finding more of their ideal clients more easily without paid advertising. So, that's my what and my who combined.
Yeah.
And unless you can be that clear and that concise, number one, the person you're talking to has no idea whether you'll be of any use to him. And number two, you don't go to the market either with any clarity in your message, with any purpose, with any real direction, or any real, incentive to market to people who might truly need what you do. So those two things are both an internal necessity and an external necessity when you're talking to people, because when somebody asks you that question, and this is my big realization really from the blunders I made in the past. When somebody says, "What do you do?" they're not actually inquiring about your profession. They don't care what you do. They care what you can do for them. That's the purpose of that question, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're actually calibrating whether it's worth spending any more time talking to you or not, on the basis that you might have something that they need. So just saying you're a coach is a crazy way to answer that question, and completely purposeless, basically. So those are the first two pillars, basically, in understanding what you do and who it's for. And then when you've nailed that, the third pillar, which is what I bring into all my coaching and teaching for my clients, is how you deliver it. So in other words, productizing your services. And it's very, very easy to be lazy about this as a therapist or a coach or a trainer, and just start talking about, I sell sessions and, hourly rates and all that kind of stuff. Well, here's the news on that. People don't buy ideas. They buy products. Yeah, people will not buy the idea that you can help them. They might buy a program, an actual method of you helping them. It's like walking into a supermarket and just imagine all the tins on the shelf on one side were silver. They had no labels on them. You'd no idea what was inside, but you kind of had an idea maybe it was food, So once in a while you might get so starving that you grab a tin and open it and see what's inside it. On the other shelf, on the other side, there's a row of tins, and in the UK, I don't know whether this is a brand over there, but it might say Heinz baked beans with barbecue sausages in tomato sauce. So you know exactly what's in it. It's a product. It's productized, isn't it? So, I think coaches who don't have a signature program are missing a huge trick. They're making their life much more difficult. All their work is in front of them if they're trying to convince anyone to buy what it is they do. So, as an example, I'm not saying this just to, promote it, but my program is called The Client Attraction Blueprint. So anybody buying that knows what they're getting. They're getting a blueprint which will show them how to attract clients.
Right.
It is the heart of what I do. So, productize your stuff. So those are the 3 pillars in a nutshell, just to summarize that what it is you do, who it's for, very precisely who is it for, and thirdly, how are you going to deliver it? Productize the hell out of it. So if someone interested in what you do has then got something to buy from you. And once you've got those 3 pillars in place, you can then start marketing, which I hate and most people hate still, but it's a damn sight easier with those 3 things in place. In fact, it's now possible rather than improbable to actually start marketing something that people will buy.
Okay. So those are terrific. And I want to go back to the second one because you mentioned, and I thought this was so incredibly valuable, that knowing who is an internal and external necessity.
Yes.
And I would love it if you would talk a little bit more about that and explain to the listeners why that is in both. I mean, I think the external maybe they get, but that internal necessity, I'm not sure people get.
Yeah, I'll illustrate it with an example, actually, a bit of a case study. So one of my clients is a very talented yoga teacher. And I know he's talented, actually, because he's teaching me. So I take some of his stuff. He's developed a program, and I'm one of the guinea pigs, as you'd expect. He trusts me to give him honest feedback. So he's a yoga teacher, and he was running classes in his local area, which was attracting, a very wide range of people who felt that they might benefit from yoga. So as I do, when we first got together and he became a client of mine and we started the program, I asked him to do a deep dive into who his ideal client was. And, he started from the point of anybody who, and I said, hold on there, slow down. Who's your ideal client? Look back and think of the one interaction you've had with the client where A, you really enjoyed it. B, they really enjoyed it. They got a massive transformational impact. And C, they paid you handsomely. And he went, oh, yeah, that would be this guy who, blah, blah, blah. He described this guy, and it turned out this guy was a stressed out senior executive in a fintech company in the UK, near to where he lives. So a financial technology company, stressed out senior executive, C-level executive, you call them in the States, don't you? So we said, well, why don't we try and find a few more of these people then? If that was a kind of ideal client interaction for you, let's see if we can clone him. So a little way into the program, we started looking at tools and strategies, and we jumped on LinkedIn, which is a wonderful platform for, finding people by profession. And we just did a little search just as an exercise for CEOs in his hometown. It's a town called Romford in Essex in the UK. And we pushed the button and LinkedIn returned 1,000 people who were CEOs in his hometown, right? So within 7 miles of where he lived, 1,000 people. So if he's looking to clone that client interaction where, let's just remind ourselves, he enjoyed it, the client got a load out of it, and the client paid him handsomely, then there's 1,000 people to go at to start with. But how are we able to do that? Well, because we moved him away from the mindset of thinking that he helps anybody who's stressed, anybody who wants to learn yoga, to thinking about what actually distinguishes his ideal clients. What are their characteristics, their definable characteristics, which will enable us to find more of them? I mean, that's the logical way to look at it, isn't it? Once, if you let yourself believe that you can help anybody who wants to learn yoga, then how on earth are you going to find those people? You can't find anybody and everybody. I don't know a tool that's effective at doing that. I don't know a strategy to do that. I haven't. I'm not a wizard. I'm not a marketing magician. I can't suddenly line up people outside your door who are going to buy from you, unless you give me something to go on. So, if you say to me, Jonny, look, I want to find stressed out senior executives who perhaps have just changed their job, so they're even more stressed because they're in a new role, then there are tools that can help us do that, aren't there? LinkedIn. Right. Another example, right? A client of mine, she helps people get over trauma. And that's where she came to me from that point, and I thought, well, I'm not sure that's a massively distinguishing characteristic. So we did the deep dive, who's the client looking back who you've really helped the most, you enjoyed, and they paid you. And she said, well, it was this guy who'd just been made redundant. And, he had a very low self-esteem. The redundancy procedure had kicked the hell out of him. He felt that he was worthless. He was mourning for all his colleagues who he felt he was bereaved from, because he no longer met these people every single day. He no longer talked with these people every day. He said it was like a mass bereavement, like they'd all died,
Wow.
Yeah. So how powerful is that? So I said to my client, Marlena, she's a wonderful, wonderful woman, such a wonderful heart-centered coach. I said, well, there's your answer then. You help people who've been made redundant. And over the period of her program with me, we created a program for her called Joyful Redundancy, which is a complete flip on, the misery of redundancy, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Spend 6 weeks with Marlena now. She will turn your redundancy around from, a miserable, death of your previous existence and life to the joy of being free from working for a company that you didn't really like, actually. The misery of commuting every day, 35 miles in each direction. The misery of doing something which is getting you nowhere apart from lining somebody else's pockets, and paying your bills just about, to the joy of being self-employed, doing anything you want, bringing you a wonderful gift to the world. So she runs a program now called Joyful Redundancy, and she hangs out in redundancy support groups on Facebook. Right? There's one in the States, I think, which has got like 35,000 members, people who've been made redundant, who are all moping around, miserable, chins on the ground, right? Wondering what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. Marlena jumps in there every now and again, comments on somebody's post, says, hey guys, here I am. Do any of you see the upside to redundancy? And when she posts something like that, there's maybe 100 people answer that post and go, right now, I can't see the wood for the trees. I can't see through this fog. I can't see how I'm going to turn my life around. So there's an audience for Marlena to talk to every single day. And she's pulling out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clients, ideal clients of hers every single week from Facebook groups. And why is she able to do that? Why is she able to do that? Because she's got her who. She's worked out who she works with, who her ideal client is. People who've been made redundant. So look, guys, this is not rocket science. This is about who have you helped in the past where you've had a massive transformational benefit, where you've enjoyed working with them and they've paid you handsomely. And when you tick those 3 boxes, just clone those people, work out where they are. Where do those people hang out? What distinguishing features do they have? And believe me, being stressed isn't a distinguishing feature. Somebody who's a bit stuck isn't a distinguishing feature. And I have coach after coach say to me, I help people who are a bit stuck. I want to shake them by the shoulders and go, come on. What are you talking about? How are you going to find people who are a bit stuck?
Right.
Good luck with that. Try searching Facebook for people who are a bit stuck.
Seriously.
It ain't going to happen, is it? It ain't going to happen. So, that's the power of the who, Diane. And thank you for asking me to open that up, because that's actually probably the most important, isn't it? The most important.
Yeah, it really is.
If you show up at work every day and say, I help people who've just been made redundant, then that's a great piece of information to motivate yourself, isn't it? Because
exactly.
You know what you're looking for, then. You know what you're doing. You're opening the door to your office and switching the light on with a real purpose. I'm going to find some more people. I'm going to find some more people today who've just been made redundant.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
And you can tell other people and they get it, as opposed to being so general, vague, that no one can land on it.
They get it. Have you ever been at a party where somebody says, I'm a business coach, and you go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you later. That's the guy in the room that nobody wants to talk to, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that and the insurance guy and the financial planner and all of them, because they tell you what they do. Well, they tell you their position. They don't tell you what they do. They tell you what their title is.
Exactly. So, that question, if any of your listeners are in any doubt, let's just reiterate that. When somebody says to you, what do you do? That isn't actually the question they're asking. They're not interested in what you do. They're not interested in what you do. They're just not very good at framing a question. What they actually mean is, how can you help me make my life better?
Right.
Yeah, that's what they mean. So tell them. Don't tell them what you do. Tell them how you can make their life better.
Okay, so this is so awesome. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for those three pillars, and thanks for going a little deeper on the one. You also say that there are three key freedoms that every business owner should be shooting for, and I was wondering if you would share those as well.
Oh yeah, the power of three. It's all there, isn't it? These acronyms, these 3-letter acronyms. There is some psychology behind that in the way that our brains are wired up. Actually, we like things in threes, basically. So the three key freedoms, sometimes called independences, if that's a plural, are things that we're all shooting for. Look, financial freedom, call it financial independence if you want. And whatever that means to you, as an individual, for some people, they'll say, oh, if I can pay off my mortgage, I'll be free, or if I've got enough money left after I've paid the bills to go on a holiday, go on a break, I've got to say vacation. I don't know if you Americans go on a vacation, once every 3 months or something like that. So, whatever financial freedom looks like, write it down, define it. It's like what we talked about before, defining your purpose, defining your avatar. Define what financial freedom would look like, write it down, draw a picture, whatever you need to do. So that's the first freedom. The other freedom is time freedom. So, how many people start a business and then chain themselves to it? Just give themselves a job, in other words, so that they're working all the hours the good Lord sends us in their business rather than working on their business, and it's sad really to see people who've done this, and stressing themselves and creating stress in all the meaning of that word, in their body, in their mind, in their physical being, so that they just wear themselves out completely and, either just get exhausted or worse, make themselves ill or kill themselves, because, the realization for me is this, that when you go into business, you're what you're doing is you're creating your own little world. You're creating a world, yourself. It's self-created, and the game is yours. You make the rules, so you decide everything about that business, including how much time you spend in it, what you do with your time. And ultimately, and this is another podcast altogether, but I think success is a choice. You can choose to be successful, or you can just choose to go to work. You can just choose to go to work every day and just do stuff, So time freedom is something that we should really be shooting for. And another kind of, a 3-letter acronym here is around time freedom is ADA. So this is one of my mantras. It's written on my board on the wall, actually, in big letters. ADA stands for automate, delegate, and abdicate. All right. So
that's great.
That's the path that I'm going on, right? Automate everything that can be automated. And we're alive at a point in history where, like never before, no generation of business owners have had access to the remarkable digital tools that are out there now, from simple calendar scheduling to email automation, but I mean, everything can be automated, can't it? And everything that can be automated in your business should be. Don't do anything that a machine can do. That's just silly, right? The next level then is delegation. So stuff that you don't have to do, but somebody else could do, should be delegated to somebody else, right? So that you only do what only you can do. That's the only sensible approach to a business, isn't it? Only do what only you can do. And if somebody else can do it, let them do it. The third level, abdication, takes another whole mindset altogether. I haven't got there yet, but I will do. And that's where the stuff that only you can do, you train somebody else to do it. So in my business, it's the coaching delivery. Yeah. So I can ultimately train another coach to deliver my programs. Just swinging back a bit, to the 3 pillars, how you deliver it. If you build a program, you can write that program down, can't you? You can create a system around it. You can create an operations manual around the program and get someone else to do it. So that's the third level of time freedom, which is abdication. So you just step back and you have other people delivering all your services for you. So yeah, automation, delegation, and abdication, those 3 together give you time freedom, which is the second freedom. The other freedom, which you can practice from the start, this is really a choice, is location freedom. Right? People complain about being stuck in their stuffy little office, or, I hate this country. It snows all the time if you live in Canada, or it rains all the time if you live in England. It literally does rain most of the time. So don't put up with that. Build a business that you can run from anywhere in the world. And that's another great privilege of being alive at this point in history, isn't it? Where, if you've got a laptop and an internet connection, you can work from anywhere. And I do that. I started 2018 in Tenerife, which is a wonderful subtropical paradise in the Canary Islands, just off the coast of Africa. In my apartment down there, I spent a couple of weeks in January down there. It was bloody freezing in the UK, and it was marvelous in Tenerife. It was like, let me do the conversion, about 78 degrees or something like that in Fahrenheit.
Wow.
And that's in January, man. Yeah, so that's good. Since then, I've spent part of April in Marbella in southern Spain, which again is another nice sunny place. Next month, I'm going to Italy, to Tuscany, to a town called Lucca, which is just wonderful in the summertime, And I'm taking my laptop with me. I'm running my business from there. It feels like a blooming vacation because life should be a vacation, shouldn't it? But I'm going to run all my coaching from there. Going to do all my marketing from there. Everything that I do normally will be just done in the sun, So location freedom is the third one. So definitely, financial freedom, time freedom that comes from automation, delegation, and abdication, and location freedom. Those are the 3 freedoms that you can create in the business if you choose to.
That's really great. I would think that the abdication one is the hardest.
Oh man, tell me about it. I'm not there yet. I'm not there because it takes courage. Once you've told yourself the story that once you've told yourself the story that only you can do that, to switch your mind off from that and go, that's not really true. Somebody else can do it. That's the boldest step, isn't it, for any business owner, really?
Yeah, that's the one I hear a lot of owners say, like they'll want to hire a salesperson, but they'll say, but they won't do it the same way I do. And it's like, right, they're not going to do it the same way you do. But as long as they're doing it well, they don't have to do it the same way you're doing it.
Oh man, it's really interesting you said that, actually, because when I had my big business, you kindly mentioned my day 8-figure business for what that counts for. It was back at the turn of the century. I sold it in 2003, but we built up a sales force with 85 people in it.
Wow.
And we floundered along with exactly that misapprehension that you've just described for the first year, because my business partner and I had founded the business were really, really good at selling, right? We'd nailed it. We had nailed it. It's the one thing that we did better than anybody that we ever met before or since, right? So we took a salesperson on, gave him the same number of leads that we were working on a monthly basis, and he was selling half what we did. And we just went, we can't do this. It's ridiculous. What a waste of leads that is. But then the penny dropped. We had a sensible conversation over a glass of beer one evening, and we said, hang on a minute. If he's 50% as good as we are, why don't we get 2 of him? And then that'll replace one of us. Why don't we get 4 of him, and that'll replace both of us? And we went, yeah, bingo, that's it. Yeah. So fast forward 5 years, we had 85 of him. So we were selling 40 times what we could have sold by ourselves. Yeah. There's your answer. And like you say, so long as they're good enough, aren't they? No, nobody can be you. I'm talking to you, Mr. Listener or Mrs. Listener, as a business owner. Nobody's ever going to be you, because you're brilliant. You started the business. Yeah. You know that blooming business from one end to the other. And not only that, but because it's your business, you try harder.
Yeah,
you try harder every single day than anybody you're ever going to employ. Because if the person you employed tries as hard as you, he's going to run his own business, isn't he? He's not going to be working for you for very long. So, Diane, absolutely right, 100% aligned with you there. Accept some dilution in the abdication process, please. These people are never going to be as good as you. They're certainly not going to be you, are they? No. So just get on and do it. That's no reason not to do it. That's no reason not to run a business with people who are even a fraction as committed as you are. You still got to get them in the business to grow, haven't you?
Right, exactly. And I love this thing about delegate everything that doesn't require you first, right? Like people really have to realize, okay, am I really the only person who can do this? No, I don't think so. And that's go ahead and give it to somebody else. And that's a great first step.
Yeah.
In that
and then the abdication is like delegation on steroids. It's like completely stepping back and going, hang on a minute, if I could delegate A, B, and C, I could probably delegate X, Y, and Z as well if I really tried, if I really worked at it.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You got to trust, right?
Yeah, you got to trust. You got to be brave and just try it. And what's the worst that could happen?
Seriously, right. And as long as you're paying attention to it, if you run into a snag, you're going to know right away, and you just take action. Yeah,
I think the deeper and more important the task, and probably the more obvious to your clients the task, the more impactful on your clients the task, the more attention you've got to pay to it. If you're going to delegate it to someone else. So that there's backroom stuff which your clients are never going to see if it goes wrong,
Yeah.
But then the really brave stuff, like the selling, as we mentioned, the coaching, the delivery of your products, of your services, you have to, as you've said, pay more attention to that, and just be more engaged. But hey, it's doable, and it's something you should do, I guess, if you want to grow.
Right. Exactly. Yep. And you went into business for yourself. That was a brave move anyway. So don't get squeamish now.
Don't bail out on us now.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right. I have to take a quick sponsor break, and then I have some more questions for you.
Sure.
Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is happy to be sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. They have over 150,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever you're hearing us on right now. And if you sign up at our link, which is audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, you get one free audiobook and a 1-month trial of the service. Some examples of books you can listen to on audible.com are The Boomerang Principle by Lee Caraher and The Irresistible Consultant's Guide to Winning Clients by David A. Fields. So visit audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, explore the books that are of interest to you, and receive one free audiobook when you sign up for the trial. Today we are speaking with Jonny Cooper about effortless marketing. And Jonny, earlier you were talking about one of your clients who was using Facebook to build their business, and they weren't using advertising. And I was wondering if you could give us, just talk to us about how does someone actually go about building engagement on Facebook without the whole ad thing?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? I think for anyone who's contemplating ads as well, it's a mistake to do that straight away before you've tested the platform for organic engagement. What I mean by that is this, that understanding who your ideal client is and what you can do for them is at the heart of a successful Facebook ad. Now, I don't use Facebook ads in this business. I have done in the past for other niches. But if you're a transformation professional, so you're a coach, a trainer, a consultant, or a freelancer who works, directly as a service deliverer to your clients, then you might never need to advertise. You might never need to pay for advertising, because when you structure a product, and we mentioned this in the 3 pillars to start with, if you remember there, what you do, who it's for, and how you deliver it. When you structure your delivery method as a high ticket product, so I guess that's in the range of $1,000 plus, $1,000 to $10,000 even, then you don't need many of those to actually make a living and to make a business. So the scattergun approach of advertising may never be needed. And what my client that you referred to, what they're doing is they're going into groups where they know their ideal client would hang out, and they're starting conversations, starting engagement. So as an example, if you want to get down to the sort of tactical level of, what do you say and, what do you type in the keyboard, you might see a post where a client in a redundancy support group, for example, just to continue the case study from before, is saying, I've been redundant now for 3 months. My savings have nearly run out. What's everybody doing about this? What do you suggest I do? So my client then is a redundancy counselor and supporter of people being redundant, would say, I've got some ideas. I've helped people in the past to transition from job seeking to being self-employed, to starting their own business. Is that something you'd be open to talking about? And the person will come back and comment yes or no. If they comment, yeah, I've thought about it, but I'm a bit scared. I have no idea how to start a business. My client would then say in that conversation, I'll direct message you with some ideas. Let's jump on a DM. So in Facebook, then you take them out of the public group into a private direct message and say, hey, it really resonated what you're saying about, because I've been redundant in the past and I've transitioned into self-employment. I'm really, really happy now. What sort of barriers have you got to being self-employed? And just start a conversation like that, just get into conversation. And somebody who's suffering a bit like that will be massively happy to just talk to someone, just get a little bit of feedback. And, what my client does then, and successfully, is very sensitively, and at the point where, that's going to resonate and the answer is going to be yes, she will say, well, look, why don't we jump on a quick call? I've got some ideas as to how I might be able to help you. And, it does involve my paid program, but don't worry about that at this stage. I just really want to calibrate and find a bit more about you. Let's jump on a call, my treat, and here's the scheduling link. And just drop that scheduling link into the direct message. And, 80% of the time, the client will click the scheduled link, book a call, and my client will then be in a sales call with a potential client. Now that can happen really, really quickly, Diane. This isn't a long process. And, I think that one of the things that kills businesses is long lead times, from conversions, from prospects to getting the money in the bank. But this happens with me in my program, and certainly happens with this client that I'm describing to you. She could be talking to someone 4:00 in the afternoon. By 4:15, she'll have them in a direct message. By 4:30, they'll have booked a sales call for the following day. And in the following morning, she'll spend an hour and 90 minutes on the phone with them, and that person will become a client. So
Wow.
this is not a long drawn out process. And, her program, and I know this because it's a program that we've designed together. Her program costs $19.97, $2,000 basically. It's an 8-week support program, the joyful redundancy thing. So she doesn't have to have many of those conversations to make a good living.
Right.
She's broken out of a very kind of vague coaching business that she had, where she was getting the occasional client, to getting 3 or 4 clients a month on this program at $2,000 a time.
Boy, there's so much that I like about this. Not the least of which is, and I'm really hoping people hear this, is
yeah, I hope so too.
Having the conversation, not going in for the kill, but engaging in the conversation.
Yeah, and I will say as well, an important thing here, just to set the record straight. If anybody's thinking, it sounds sleazy that you're getting people on a sales call. None of this comes from anywhere other than a position of complete authenticity and a genuine concern and care for the person you're talking to. So Marlene is only doing this because she's been made redundant. She's been through it. She knows how these people are feeling. And she doesn't want anybody to get to the depth of despair that she got to. So she's coming at this from a place, a heart-centered, direction, where she only wants to save people from themselves and to get them into a place of joy and happiness as quickly as possible. Now, the happy side effect of that is that she gets paid.
Right.
But she never approaches any of these conversations, and neither do I.
Yeah.
With money on my mind.
Right. Right.
Because it just kills it. It kills the whole dynamic. It kills the whole vibe.
It really does.
The person you're talking to knows that you're in it for yourself and not for them. But, conversion rates say everything. I convert maybe 50% of the conversations I have like that into clients. The other half, I'm still friends with. I love the people who don't buy from me. I love the people who don't buy from me. They're in my circle. They might become clients at some point in the future, but I know that by following this process, enough people will pay me to make me a living and to make my business grow and thrive. So I never have a client-shaped hole in my business, Diane, at the point where I'm talking to a potential client. It's just another conversation, isn't it? Some of them will buy, some of them won't. And once you take that pressure off yourself, life becomes so much more fun. Every conversation you have is just a nice conversation with a friend,
Exactly. Right. And you're comfortable and right. It's just so much good.
It's great, isn't it? It's great.
Yeah, no question. So talk to me some about transitioning from being an expert to an authority, because, we're in this world of thought leadership and all of that stuff. But I guess what's the difference between an expert and an authority, and how does someone move from one to the other?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to give you a really smart ass answer here, and you're going to think, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. An expert is what you call yourself. An authority is what other people call you.
Oh,
so that's a distinguishing feature, isn't it? Loads of people are experts. How many websites do you see where people have called themselves, client attraction expert or, sales expert, something like that, or 5-star coaching expert or something? To be an authority, that demands that your audience says that Diane's the go-to person for X, or John is the go-to guy for this, you know. And the way that you get yourself in that position is simply by showing up on a regular basis with your authentic self and demonstrating for all to see that you are somebody of authority, that you're somebody of importance, that you're a person of interest in your chosen market. And I do that personally by being friendly, being nice, being funny sometimes. I go out of my way to be funny sometimes. I show that I'm a three-dimensional human. You know, I do a weekly Facebook Live from my piano where I play some music for people, you know, and people engage with that. People like it. People go, and I'm sure people go, hey, you know, Johnny's not just a coach. He can play the piano, you know that. And that's a kind of another little tick, isn't it? That makes people want to, I'm sure, hang out with Johnny at some point, you know.
Right.
You see that all the time from interesting people, don't you? I don't know if you know Mike Dillard. He's a coach in the States, doing very well for himself. He shows one of his hobbies, which is motorsport, and he zooms around speedways, you know, with his helmet on and all that. It's just a way of, you know, reaching out to your audience and saying, you know, I'm not just here to sell you stuff. I'm here to be a person of interest. You know, I'm somebody that you can follow for other reasons other than, you know, me just trying to sell you something all the time. I think a genuine authority pillar is writing stuff that people can see without, you know, without you being in the way of that, if you like. So, you know, live videos are great. But I write every single day. I do a thing called a daily brain tattoo, which is another crazy name that I came up with some months back. But since March last year, I've done a daily brain tattoo every single day, which I send to my email list. So I've done about 400 of them now. It must be getting up for 400. Wow. Every single freaking day, man. And these take about a minute to read. I read them out as well every single minute. So in the podcasting world, there's a thing called a Alexa flash briefing, which is kind of a micro podcast, basically. So I've signed up for this. And I read out my daily brain tattoo. I actually read them 30 at a time, would you believe? So I do a month in advance. It takes me about an hour.
Wow.
Record them on good old Podbean. Probably shouldn't mention that, actually, because that's not the platform you use, is it?
Oh, it's okay.
It's all right. And they go on up to the Alexa platform. People subscribe to them. They're on iTunes as well. So it's a piece of content every single day that people can listen to and get to know who Johnny is. And, you know, if what Johnny says on a daily basis matches what they think that they need or what they feel they want, then that's another authority measure, isn't it? To make them think of Johnny when they need to pay for what I do, basically.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, omnipotence is a big piece of being everywhere all the time, sort of thing. Yeah, just getting out there and doing the work. Writing the book as well. I mean, you know, my book's just been published on.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. My first book. I'm really pumped about it. It's called Johnny Hates Marketing. The subtitle is 99 Ways to Get Your Ideal Clients Chasing You without paid advertising, without working like a dog or losing your mind.
Wow.
That's the subtitle. It's quite a long one, but
Great.
You know, that's what I'm like. So, you know, having a book, again, is another authority pillar, isn't it? People see, yeah. I mean, not everybody's written a book, have they? We're not all authors, although we've all got a book in us. So, you know, people who haven't written their book yet look to people who've already written their book, and there's a little notch of authority there, isn't there, rightly or wrongly? So, you know, I think the transition from expert to authority, as I said originally, is you know, how people view you. And why would someone regard you as an authority? Well, getting out there and being everywhere all the time, I think, and just, you know, being somebody that people see as an authority. Really, it's an external thing rather than internal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great. That is great. So if they just focus on providing their knowledge, you know, sharing the information that they have, then others get the opportunity to see them as an authority, which is how they honestly.
I think so, definitely. I don't think anybody can make themselves an authority.
Yeah.
It's yeah, definitely. And so something you said there as well about getting out there and being seen. That's definitely an important part of it. Just doing the work and showing up. Taking action
Yeah.
every day in the midst of your ideal clients, so that they can see you.
Yep. Yep. It's really great. Okay. Now, this is going to be like hard for me to say. You have 3 8s. You say we should build into our business, and I'm fascinated to know what that is.
Just ask that again. Sorry, Diane. You have 3
8s, ATES, like dash ATES.
Oh yeah. Well, we've already done that, haven't we? Because that's the
Oh, we did.
automate,
Oh,
delegate,
okay.
and abdicate. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I'd forgotten. I'd written that. I do apologise.
Yeah, it's quite all right.
We should perhaps leave this in rather than hit the edit button, because
Yeah.
they are so central, those things, and
Exactly. They're worth repeating. Absolutely.
yeah, because
Yeah.
what we should all do in business is we should aim for the most impact with the least effort, with the least work. Yeah. And
Yes.
I apologize if that sounds lazy. It's not a lazy statement. It's just
No.
obvious. You're going to run out of time before you run out of ambition. Mostly, that's what we all do, isn't it? We are going to either have to retire, or we're going to have to give up for whatever reason, or we're just going to run out of literally lifetime. So the time that we've got, we need to spend the most efficiently as possible, don't we? So the biggest impact for the least effort just seems to me like something that we should write on a big board and have it on the wall in front of our eyes every minute of every day. And those 3 8s, automate, delegate, and abdicate should be a driving force. It should be running through our veins like blood on a daily basis, shouldn't it?
Yeah, and I really love that statement about we're going to run out of time before we run out of ambition. I mean, that is the reason. That is so great. If for no other reason, that is the reason to make sure that you're doing those 3 things.
Yeah, definitely. There's always stuff left to do,
Yeah.
I mean, just think, all the obituaries you read, of people who've made an impact. You just know they could have done so much more, couldn't they? They weren't finished. They weren't finished at all.
Right.
And particularly, we're fond in society of saying, he died too young, gone too soon, and that applies to pretty much everybody, really.
Yeah.
There are very, very few people who die completely fulfilled and satisfied and everything. So, here's the thing: just work towards that every day, and just get the biggest impact you can with the time you've got, and building this automate, delegate, abdicate philosophy into every action. It's just so powerful, and it changes everything once you understand it.
Boy, no kidding. Yeah, I love it. Well, my gosh, I mean, this has been so great.
Thank you.
It really, and for so many reasons, because it gives people like a whole different view of marketing, in my opinion. I think it shows it in a way that is not only doable, but enjoyable, if I can even say that about marketing, because it's more natural. It's just more comfortable.
Isn't it interesting as well? So, sorry to cut across you.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting as well that you and I have talked very little about marketing?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't used words like funnel, like Twitter, like campaign.
Thank God.
This stuff isn't in the lexicon, is it? In our discussion, and yet, I would think, when we play this back, we'll see a template for a thriving business without discussing any of that stuff. And
exactly.
You might wonder why that is. It's probably because the stuff that people think of as marketing is actually not that important and not that significant. Because if you get all the other really important stuff in place, the gold stuff. The aluminum stuff kind of takes care of itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, right, right. Which I think is one of the reasons why I really like this, because it's getting out there and creating that awareness and exposure for your business without thinking about marketing.
Yes.
Just being, right? Just
Yes.
engaging and
Yes.
connecting, which is really the way to grow a business. So right, we don't need all of this, I was going to say mumbo jumbo, industry speak sort of thing. And that's another reason why I think it's like when I talk about sales and I say, okay, you know what, you can't sell anything, so just stop. Just meet people, get to know them, and they'll buy from you, but only if they really need what you have to sell.
Yeah.
And only when they really need it. So just let it go.
And although we're talking about transformation professionals, coaches, trainers, therapists, freelancers, I would challenge anyone to find a sector or a niche or a kind of business where this philosophy wouldn't work. Where you couldn't apply this. So anybody listening who, thank goodness for these businesses, because we all need them. In transport, in manufacturing, in home improvements, anything at all. Just listen back to what Diane and I discussed today and ask yourself, how can I apply that to my business? Because it doesn't matter whether you're selling physical products or, more ephemeral services. All this stuff works,
Exactly.
and it's just at the heart of everything in business, I think.
Yep, I agree. Oh, I totally agree with that. It doesn't matter what it is you're selling. It's your mindset and your approach, and so this is so great, because I think it gives all of those people who, at the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about how so many small business owners hate this whole concept of marketing. Well, this just gave them the freedom to not even worry about that or think about that, and just interact in a way that, and the three pillars, the value that they bring, the solutions that they provide, who they provide it for, and how. And that's it. It boils it down and just makes it so much easier to deal with. Really great.
In case you think I'm just a smart ass Brit, I will tell you it's taken me 20 years to get to this point of doing everything that you could imagine that was wrong and difficult and clunky and non-productive, and so it's an evolution, isn't it? It's an evolution.
Yeah.
If you're open to learning, you'll get there eventually. But I'd love to help any of your listeners right now to accelerate that learning curve and get there as quickly as we can.
Well, that's so great. So in the interest of that, will you tell them, how they can find you, how they can get your book, just, everything with links and everything, so they can reach out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and if they do nothing other than write the 3 words, Jonny Hates Marketing, so JONNY, there's no H in it, no H. So Jonny Hates Marketing. So that's the .com. That's the Facebook group. That's also the name of my book. So they can type that into the Amazon search and it will come up on Amazon.com. But fundamentally, my signature program is called the Client Attraction Blueprint. And I'm more than happy for everyone to absorb all that free value from the Daily Brain Tattoos, which are subscribable on the johnnyhatesmarketing.com website. And join the Jonny Hates Marketing Facebook group, please. Hang out there and meet all the other wonderful transformation professionals who are in that group already. And of course, go and have a look at the book. Download it. It's not expensive on Kindle these days. But fundamentally, to get the real impact and for me to work with you and help you, the Client Attraction Blueprint is now open for the July intake, which is going to be kind of mid-July. We'll agree a date once we get people registered. But that's a 12-week guided coaching program where basically we build your thriving practice, build a blueprint for your thriving practice, incorporating all of the stuff that Diane and I have talked about today. So, I'd love to hear from as many people as possible who'd want to jump on that program with me in July or later. So yeah, bring it on. And the starting point is the johnnyhmarketing.com website, where you can inquire about that.
Terrific. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending this time with me.
It's my pleasure.
And,
That's the longest half hour I've ever spent.
I know. It went a little longer. Well, it was such a great conversation.
We go on, don't we? We do go on.
Yes. Well, it's important. Also want to thank the listeners and our sponsor. Remember to visit audibletrial.com/businessgrowth to get your free trial of audible.com as well as a free audiobook. Continue to prosper and be curious. And until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
Hey podcast listeners, my name is Paul O'Connor and I'm the host of the Rust Belt Rundown, a show that highlights valuable insights from manufacturing executives and business leaders in Northeast Ohio and beyond. We convene these leaders for candid discussions about business, regional happenings, industry trends, entrepreneurship, and more. With a wide range of guests and topics, there is something for everyone. Listen to Rust Belt Rundown for free on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast app.